Welcome to this video. These are the 5 parts we're going to be covering. Let's get straight into this one. Welcome to viewer subscriber comments. We have a comment from our previous video, the Egyptian African royal family, which connects to the Minoans, the Greeks, and we also spoke about Alexander the Great in that video. We said that we could have something that comes up that we might need to address. And we have a comment from Yoruba Akobi, and let's read this part here. I once mentioned to you that I heard somewhere that Ham and Japheth were swapped. The children stay the same, but the names of their progenitors, Ham and Japheth, were swapped. It's starting to seem plausible, at least for certain parts of Europe. So I wanted to make a video because we are building a bit of a relationship. We're speaking to each other, and it may also be helpful and beneficial to others out there. I would like to clarify, what are we saying on the channel? What is our view, so that it's clear? This is the map that we created for the Hamites, with the source being the book of Jubilees. Now, the book of Jubilees, I'll put this link in the description below if you'd like to look at it. It's a book from the Apocrypha, and the part you want to go to get the information that we're using is this one here. Subdivision of the 3 portions amongst the grandchildren describes the portion that came for Ham. So that's the source that we're using to make this interpretation for the Hamites. So this is what we're working from as our base when we speak about the Hamites with our recent videos. So the African origin of the Grecian civilization, and let's go down to that part that we were speaking quite a lot about. So a vast Hamitic empire. And then notice some of these other countries like Greece, Italy, Sicily, Sardinia, and Central Europe. So then what we'd be saying is the Hamites influencing Europe or migrating into Europe. So it's a movement into Europe, but we're saying that the Hamites have their base, strongly in Africa. So that's the view of the channel, working from the Bible and also the books of the Apocrypha. Now, this theory that the viewer is bringing up here, I'm not going to try debunk it. I'm not sure if I like that term, but it's like a modern expression to try debunk a theory. I'm not going to try to do that, and let me try explain why. If we think about what's being said, that Ham and Japheth are being swapped. So these sons here of Japheth would be the sons of Ham. And then if we go down, the sons of Ham would be the sons of Japheth. And we notice Egypt, or Mizraim, one of the sons here for Ham, this would actually be one of the sons of Japheth, according to this theory. So that's why the viewer also puts this information about the Xhosa language, the name for Egypt, with the similarities of the name Japheth as well. So yeah, the reason why I'm not going to try to debunk this is because it's important for the channel, if we think about the Bible, that what the Bible tells us is important. So it's here for a reason. And then this history is going to continue. And what's told to us here in Genesis 10, it's going to be important as the story goes further. So I went to try to find all the Bible verses that mention Ham. So now we're in the book of the Psalms. So we've gone forward in history. We coming towards the time of King David, and maybe even a bit further, and it says, Israel also came into Egypt, and Jacob sojourned in the land of Ham. But now this is actually looking back at the captivity and the Exodus, and it says here, they showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. Wondrous works in the land of Ham, and terrible things by the Red Sea. So we see the Bible is connecting Ham with the land of Egypt. But if we think about the idea of trying to debunk a theory, what would be my most important source that I would use? It would be the Bible. The Bible would be my most important source. So I would say, look what the Bible's saying. Let's go to Psalm 105. It says the land of Ham, and it's being connected with Egypt. But now that doesn't matter because the Bible has it's losing its importance, because we could say, well, this has been edited. We can't trust this. So then it doesn't actually matter, what I believe and what the Bible is saying, because it's been undermined. So how would you then debunk it? So what I would like to do is read one more verse to try express obviously my feelings about this and how I do feel that it is a dangerous theory. So this is the book of Romans. So now we come forward in history again to the time of the New Testament with the Apostle Paul. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we through patience and comfort of the scriptures might have hope. So our hope is tied into the scriptures, and it also says about having comfort. So to have comfort with the scriptures, or of the scriptures. And these things were written for our learning. So if we start to have these serious, let's say, questions about were these names changed, it's not just about Genesis 10, because we can see how it also continues with the history of the Bible. And then we'd have to also wonder about the Psalms. So then are we not going to start to lose comfort? And then what can we trust? So that's why I feel that I do feel strongly that I would say that it's a dangerous theory, but not going to try attempt to debunk it. But I would like to also share something with you to bring some information back on the channel. We did actually speak about Genesis 9:27. It's very interesting. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload that video so we can watch it. It's relevant to this discussion, but I'd like to go further with it in this video. And also one more thing that's interesting for this is the fact that this book of Jubilees says the only complete version of Jubilees is in the Ethiopian. So we have the book of Jubilees in different languages, even in the Ethiopian. And the book of Jubilees does support the way Genesis 10 is given to us in the Bible. So that would be something to think about. I decided to re-record the video rather than play the old one. We're working with Genesis 9, but we're not going to read the whole chapter. But the period that we're looking at is after the Great Flood. We're going down to read from verse 24. And Noah awoke from his wine, and knew what his younger son had done unto him. And he said, Cursed be Canaan, a servant of servants shall he be unto his brethren. And he said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. This is the King James Version. I'd like to now really focus in on verse 27. That's what the viewer was making reference to in considering this theory. I'd like to read from the NIV Bible. It says, May God extend Japheth's territory. May Japheth live in the tents of Shem, and may Canaan be the slave of Japheth. So it reads differently, and it says, Japheth will live in the tents of Shem. But in the King James Bible, it doesn't say Japheth, it just says he. Let's now go to the book of Jubilees. Now the book of Jubilees is a part of the Apocrypha, but there's something very interesting here with, it's the same story, but we get a different perspective. Just waiting for my screen to come back. And he blessed Shem and said, Blessed be the Lord God of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. God shall enlarge Japheth, and God shall dwell in the dwelling of Shem, and Canaan shall be his servant. So in the book of Jubilees, it's saying that God will dwell in the dwelling of Shem. So that's a big difference. And if we go back now to Genesis, but the King James Version, and we think about how it says he. So if we think about the NIV where it says Japheth, then it can't be God. But with the King James Version, it says he. Now the way it starts by speaking about God. So God shall enlarge Japheth, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. So is it not still speaking about God? So I was thinking, could this just be an honest scribal error? That it's not clearly reflecting what the book of Jubilees is saying. But we can see that it could be saying the same thing depending on how you read it. But not if you go to the newer translations where they actually put Japheth, then you can only read it one way. But with the book of Jubilees, we can actually see the importance of this prophecy. If we go to the next chapter, Noah sees this fulfilled in his lifetime, because it says here, he remembered all that he had spoken with his mouth in prophecy. So this is an important prophecy, and we may not be really understanding it or seeing how it's fulfilled in the Bible without the book of Jubilees, because it says, and he knew that the Garden of Eden is the Holy of Holies and the dwelling of the Lord. Now, if you haven't studied the book of Jubilees, it describes how the earth was divided amongst the three sons of Noah by Lot. So now this Lot's coming for Shem, and Noah is realizing that the Holy of Holies has fallen for Shem, and it's the dwelling of the Lord, so that it fulfills the prophecy that God shall dwell in the dwelling of Shem. So I wanted to share this with you because it is a big difference. And what are we to make of this this difference, and also how the newer translations actually insert Japheth? But is it actually supposed to say that God shall dwell in the tents of Shem? But then without the book of Jubilees, if we just use the Bible, how would we know that this has been clearly fulfilled? So quite a lot to think about there. Let me know what you think about this. I'd like to try go a little bit further than we did originally when we made this video. This is coming to us from the book of Jubilees, that Noah realized the prophecy had come true when the lot fell for Shem because of these holy places like the Garden of Eden, Mount Sinai, and Mount Zion falling for the land of Shem. And the prophecy is in the Bible, so Genesis 9:27. But without the book of Jubilees, how would we know that this prophecy had been fulfilled? Now, I'm not saying this is true. I just want to ask what you think. Was there a greater fulfillment of this prophecy, the way it's written here with the book of Jubilees, and may the Lord dwell in the dwelling of Shem? I wanted to find a nice picture to show you of the tent of meeting, or the tabernacle, and we see the camps of the Israelites dwelling around this tent of meeting, just so we can visually picture it nicely when we read this verse. So this is from 2 Samuel chapter 7, and it says, But that night the word of the Lord came to Nathan, saying, Go and tell my servant David, This is what the Lord says. Are you the one to build me a house to dwell in? I have not dwelt in a house from the day I brought the Israelites up out of Egypt to this day. I have been moving from place to place with a tent as my dwelling. Wherever I have moved with all the Israelites, did I ever say to any of their rulers, whom I commanded to shepherd my people Israel, why have you not built me a house of cedar? So I'd like to focus on this part here where it says, wherever I have moved with all the Israelites. But the Israelites are of Shem, so they are Shemites. So what do you think about this? With the tent of meeting, with God's presence being with the Israelites, could that actually be a fulfillment of this prophecy that we can't clearly see with the King James, but the way we exploring this with the book of Jubilees, that it says, may the Lord dwell in the dwelling of Shem. Could we see that fulfilled with this picture? So I wanted to also share that with you to see what you think about that. Let's finish the video by speaking about Japheth. We didn't actually explain why this verse, Genesis 9:27, is important for this theory. It's difficult to try to speak about everything in one video. I don't really want to try explain it in this video. We'll have to see what the reaction is. Do the viewers or subscribers want to go deeper into this? So let's wait to see the reaction. But what about where it says in this prophecy, God shall enlarge Japheth? I'm not sure if we can find anything in the Bible that shows that this part of the prophecy has been fulfilled. Let me know if you do know anything that could show that. But what about our perspective now, looking back on the past? This is one of the scholars trying to interpret Jubilees. So an interpretation of the book of Jubilees, how the lots fell for the three sons of Noah. And this is the most common interpretation for Japheth from the book of Jubilees. So it's a bit difficult to see it. Let me help you. So this is the modern day country of Italy. This would be the modern day country of Greece. And this would be Spain. And then going towards Russia. Let's look at a map the right way around. So traditional biblical scholarship, Japheth is strongly connected with Europe. So if we think about the European history, could we see that Japheth has been expanded? Has this prophecy been fulfilled with the European history? So let me know if you agree with that, or do you have any other thoughts about that? Do you know anything from the Bible that could show that Japheth was enlarged? This is an edit to this part of the video. I was thinking that I didn't show a map of what I was trying to say, just in case we weren't all on the same wavelength. This map is showing European colonialism. And I think the way this is working is the different colors. If you trace the color back to the European country, you can see which country is expanding where. So that's what I'm asking. This European colonialism or European expansion, could this actually be a fulfillment of what we were reading about Japheth being enlarged? So let me know what you think about that. I can understand why Yoruba Akobi is bringing this to our attention again. If we think about what we've been saying on the channel in our recent videos, I can see why what we've been saying seems to resonate with this theory. But I can't answer everything because I don't really know anything about the causal language with the name for Egypt in Xhosa. It could be, like we were speaking about in the previous video, similarities, and then you're looking for something and you make the connection. But is it really about truth, or is it about trying to find something to support your theory or the agenda that you're pushing forward? So I don't have an answer for this. It would be interesting to think about, what is the causal word for Japheth, and maybe pursuing that as well. But why I said I think this theory is dangerous is because what then becomes the authority on truth? Because if you start to entertain these theories about has the Bible been changed, and in quite a significant way, then what other stories could you then start to question? Especially if you're trying to say something, if you have a perspective that you're trying to encourage others to follow or to believe, you can reject things that you don't want to see, and you can change the story to suit your agenda. And it could be just like a repeating cycle, that you then have new errors or new prejudices that start to emerge. And I was saying in the previous video about watching out for those that want to divide us or set us against each other. And this is kind of an example of what I was speaking about. So I wanted to make this for Yoruba Okobi, and let me know what you make of this reply. And I chose to do it in a video rather than a personal comment because it may be useful to others out there.